Welcome back to my YouTube channel where I have set myself the challenge to visit 52 football grounds in 2024. The series is called 52 in 24 and today we are heading to stop number 3 and we are heading to Newcastle. So today we are going on a stadium tour around St James's Park. I have been to quite a few Newcastle games. I used to live in Newcastle. I was a student there for 5-6 years and I went to a lot of games in that time, but I've never actually been on a stadium tour, so I'm really looking forward to it today. It's one of those grounds that is iconic. It's in the middle of the city. It's a one-city club and they absolutely live for football. I'm going to take the train up there from Durham, so I'll be able to show you guys a little bit of the travel, a little bit of the city, and hopefully put together some decent content for you to sit back, enjoy, and hopefully learn a little bit more about Newcastle, the city, the club, and the stadium. So for those of you who don't know, Newcastle United is a football club with a very, very long history. They have icons such as Alan Shearer, Bobby Robson, and the whole city lives for the club. It is a one-city club and everybody absolutely adores their football. The club was founded in 1892 and they currently play their games at St James's Park under manager Eddie Howe. They are nicknamed the Magpies and they traditionally play in black and white, although that hasn't always been the case. They started out in red, but that quickly transitioned into black and white, as we will find out on the tour. They are currently playing Premier League football and this season they also played in the Champions League. Things haven't always been rosy at Newcastle. The last couple of years have seen a huge turnaround in the club's fortunes and have given fans a new sense of hope, pride and excitement in their football club. It wasn't long ago that the club was a very, very different scene. They were ran by Mike Ashley and there was often fan protests and the whole city and the fan base wanted Mike Ashley out of their club. Eventually that happened. Mike Ashley sold the club. And after the Mike Ashley era comes the new era of Newcastle United Football Club. It isn't without its controversy, as the Saudi-led takeover sent shockwaves through football. It is currently absolutely freezing in the northeast. It is -4 today in Durham. I've picked a right day for this, but we're wrapped up. We've got the coat on, we've got the Home Alone hat on, and we're going to head off up to Newcastle, and I'm going to show you guys around St James's Park. So I got the train up to Newcastle and then walked up to St James's and I arrived at the ground about 15 minutes early. They were dead friendly. They gave you one of these stadium tour passes and a match day programme from just before Christmas. Had a little look around. It wasn't like a museum, but they had a few like trophies and things like that, some shirts and some names and stuff on the wall. A little bit of the history in the background. And then at 12:30, it was time for the tour. It was a 90-minute guided tour. And to be honest, I wasn't sure what to make of it. The only tours I've done before have been self-guided. So I thought, you know what, let's see what it's all about. And I absolutely loved it. Here we are. The first stop was the away dressing room. So take a little look around, look at the size of it. And it's not very fancy. It's pretty basic, pretty simple. I was a little bit surprised by it, to be honest. So remember this and then take a look at the home dressing room. So the home dressing room was really smart, everything you would expect. We only went in this section. There was another section like the players area where they had a fitness room and stuff like that. You could have a little look round at the shirts and where all the players would be seated as well on a match day. And the guy who was taking us on the tour was awesome. Really informative, told us loads. I can't recommend it enough. I'm not going to be able to give you all the information from the day, but I'll pick up a few key points. But yeah, I definitely recommend, if you ever get the chance, take yourselves on the stadium tour at St James's. So from the home dressing room, we took a walk along the corridor and towards the media lounge. So the media lounge was pretty impressive, way bigger than the one at the San Siro and Dortmund when I went there. And yeah, it was just a nice little look around, an idea as to what goes on behind the scenes at a club like Newcastle. He told us about some of the amendments for the Champions League and things like that. And then we got to the best bit of any stadium tour, actually taking the route that the players take out to the pitch. This was a really cool one. This was up there with me with the Dortmund walkout. I thought it was a really cool corridor. They put the music on and we were able to walk down the tunnel and come out onto the pitch. And even though I've been to St James's before, it still has, I don't know, I'm not a Newcastle fan, but I got a little bit of goosebumps walking out that tunnel and seeing the stadium. It looked absolutely awesome. And yeah, this is the view from pitch side. These are the dugouts. And the tour guide gave us loads of information on these. The fact they had to change them once they made Champions League football and things like that. Here's a view up into the stands. It is a huge stadium. The capacity at the moment is 52,000, but the record is 68,000, I think he said, back when they had like standing and stuff like that. Don't quote me on any facts. I was listening as hard as I could, but my memory is like a sieve. But hopefully you get a scale of just how big the stadium is. I love little things like that at clubs like Eddie Howe's Black and White Army. And then it was back into the main part of the stadium. There was lots of little things, tributes to Sir Bobby and Alan Shearer and legends of the club. We took the lift up to the 6th floor, which is normally on match day 16 flights of stairs for the fans. And then we walked up to the 7th floor, which is another 2 flights of stairs. I've sat up here for a couple of games before. When I was a uni student in Newcastle, we used to go to the games and get cheap tickets. Back then, they were basically giving tickets away, whereas now, even the people who worked at the ground can struggle to get tickets, and there's a massive waiting list for season tickets. But this is the view from almost the top, so we're up in the heavens, and it is a great view. And look at the view out onto the city as well. It's so impressive. And yeah, there's not very many stadiums that are around that are like Newcastle. They're right in the centre. They're such a big part of the community and of the city, and some of the things you can see from there were mad. So the tour guide said on a clear day you can see right out towards the Angel of the North, out towards Sunderland, and I'm zooming in on my camera to see how far we can see out there. And as you can see, it was a pretty clear day, so could see pretty far. I zoomed as far as I could, and yeah, I really enjoyed that part of the tour. Then we got to go and see a box. So this one used to be John Joe Shelby's box, and I think it's now Callum Wilson's, or the one next door is anyway. But I've never actually been in a box before. It was pretty cool. It's not super big, but it's got everything you need in there, everything that you would expect. And then we went out onto the seats. Obviously, their seats are padded. The view is pretty awesome. And yeah, we went out there, had a little sit down, got to soak up the views from up here. And you can see all around the stadium, they've got different boxes for different sponsors. Players have boxes as well. The only player that has his name attached to a box is Trippier, because he says he doesn't mind people knocking on the door, asking for autographs, things like that. And that says a lot about his character.
Actually, in 1894, this club came to its senses, reverted to black and white, and we've worn black and white ever since. In those days, red and white was the most popular, was the most...
And we are back. So I'm just back in there from today's stadium tour up at St James's Park in Newcastle. And honestly, it was absolutely class. I didn't think it was going to be that good. It was £18 and it was great value for money. I'm going to go through the costs anyway. So it's £18 to book it. You did it online, dead easy to do. You just had to sign up, get that done, about 5 minutes. I got the train there and back, which was about £8. And that's all I spent, really. It was a really good day out. I would recommend it highly. I mean, I loved Dortmund and I loved the San Siro when I went there. The stadium tours were great, but they were self-guided. Today's was a guided one, which I was a little bit anxious about, but the guy who did it was absolutely class. He was a bit of an old guy. You could tell he's been around for a while doing it, but he really added to the experience and the history and everything. So when you go in, you got this little pass, which I think is quite cool. It's like a nice little memorabilia, nice little bit of memorabilia, nice memory of the day, and they gave you a free program from an old match. I just think that's a nice touch because obviously I'm a Leeds fan and I was thinking I do want something from the day, but I don't really want to go and buy a Newcastle hat or scarf or anything. So just a little pass and a program, and that is a good thing to add to my tour collection as I go around the country visiting all these grounds. So the ground itself, I've been many times before. It was really good to see it on a non-match day and to get an idea of the scale of the club and how much it's changed since I was last there. Because like I said, I was there in my uni days, so it has moved on a lot. The experience itself was so good. If I was to give them ratings, it's really hard. I've visited some really good stadiums. I would say if I called the San Siro as a ground an 8 and Dortmund a 9, I'm going St James's as an 8.5, and obviously Ellen Road is at the top. The experience in itself, I thought was awesome. I thought it was really good. I'm going, if Dortmund was an 8 and San Siro was a 7, I'm going St James's the experience was a 9, maybe even 9.5. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully that came across in the video. And value for money. So Dortmund was €15, and I thought that was excellent value for money, like a 9.5. The San Siro was €30, which I thought was a rip-off, like a 5. And this was £18. So I'm going to go for a really good value for money, 9 out of 10. So yeah, I would recommend it to anyone if you want to have a little look around St James's outside of a match day, fan or non-fan. It's absolutely class. So yeah, I love today. And we're going to carry on this tour. Who knows where we're going to end up next? If you've got any suggestions, get it in the comments and we'll try and make it happen. If you can like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, I appreciate it a lot. And yeah, let's see where we end up on this tour next.